Hello, I'm Jonathan Van Bilsen, and welcome to the Scugog Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Update. Our guest today is Simon Gill, Director of Economic Development and Tourism for the region of Durham. Before we begin, I'd like to ask Karen Hunt, a Director and Treasurer for the Scugog Chamber of Commerce, to introduce Mr. Gill.
Thank you, Jonathan. Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's program. Our sponsors for today are Scugog Computers, owned and operated by Michael Phillip, and Focus on Scugog, our favorite local monthly magazine. Today, we welcome our Executive Director, Carrie Large, and I hope you will all have an opportunity to meet her pretty soon. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you Simon Gill. Simon is the Director of Economic Development and Tourism at the region of Durham. Simon is a strategic leader, speaker, and innovator whose passion for sustainability and strategic partnership development has led him to the leadership role as director. Simon and his team at Invest Durham work to deliver Durham Region's economic development strategy and action plan. The team engages with local and international business to attract investment and create local jobs. Now, looking forward to hearing from Simon.
Well, thank you very much, Karen, for the introduction, and it's a pleasure to be here. And thanks, Jonathan, for having me here. I'm Simon, the Director of Economic Development and Tourism for the region of Durham, and we go by Invest Durham and Durham Tourism. So firstly, maybe I'll just quickly start by congratulating and welcoming Carrie Ann Large to her new role as the Scugog Chamber, the new head of the Scugog Chamber. So congrats, Carrie, and you're all, I think, in very good hands. I've had the pleasure of working with Carrie on a number of projects through the Durham Economic Task Force. So I'm here today to tell you a little bit about Invest Durham and what we do at the region. I'm going to share my screen and take you through some information. So I'll tell you a little bit about Invest Durham. So the priority of economic development and tourism, which is Invest Durham, is to build long-term economic prosperity, competitiveness, job growth, and work on a quality of place excellence. And we're located within the Planning and Economic Development Department at the region of Durham. Our team consists of 4 different program units, and we support the overall priorities of the division. So Durham Tourism, which includes Kristen Chambers, our tourism specialist for Scugog, Uxbridge, and Brock, is one of the 4. We have Business Development and Investment, Marketing and Cluster Development, which includes our film and television work, and Agriculture and Rural Economic Development. That team includes Glenn McFarlane, who provides direct support for the townships of Scugog, Uxbridge, and Brock. In addition, we work closely with the staff delivering broadband programming in the region. First thing I'll talk about is our strategy and action plan. So we're working with Hatch Consulting to assist us with the development of a new economic development and tourism strategy and action plan for the next 5 years. A small steering committee has been assembled to provide some overall direction. And an important component of the work is going to be ensuring that North Durham and our agricultural community are appropriately represented for the immense contributions that they make to our regional economy. And so we're developing a very robust engagement plan to be in touch with our chambers of commerce and our boards of trade, the northern area municipalities, and to shape more details about how and when to contribute to this overall economic strategy. This is one of our 4 sections, as I mentioned, Durham Tourism. So Durham Tourism promotes Durham to increase inbound tourism and enhance the quality of place, the inherent quality of place of our region, by profiling a wide range of activities, including sport, culinary, agritourism, and cultural events. And through dedicated programming, specifically support tourism initiatives in the township of Scugog, Uxbridge, and Brock, and deliver sport tourism programming, which strives to attract large-scale sporting events to Durham region. So some of the key activities I'll just highlight quickly for the coming year for 2022. We'll be rolling out a tourism ambassador program in the township of Scugog. We'll be delivering ongoing support for the Scugog Tourism Advisory Committee. We're going to be further developing relationships and programming in coordination with Central Counties Tourism, which is our regional tourism organization. And of course, tourism will contribute to the economic development strategy by coming up with their own 5-year tourism strategy for the region. Another business unit I mentioned, which is business development and investment, they're responsible for investment attraction, both domestic and foreign. We're currently and planning for next year to include a specific focus on the energy, engineering, and environment sectors, as well as the life sciences sector and advanced mobility. Advanced mobility, we think we have a really, really fantastic story to tell. This includes electric and autonomous vehicles and the associated tech and charging infrastructure that goes along with it. We'll be increasing our focus on business retention and expansion for some of the more regional, large, and strategic employers. And of course, we'll be doing that with the support from area municipalities. And of course, we're doing it in anticipated continuing need for COVID-19 recovery initiatives. This section also does data research and analytics, focused on continuing improvement for our web content. Marketing and cluster development is an area where we're focusing as well. So they're responsible for providing promotion for Durham Region's value proposition to potential investors. This section supports sector development, overall brand awareness of the region's economic assets, and communications to the business community. The program works closely with partners to nurture, develop, grow industry sectors, and they work to support and grow the region's arts, cultural, and creative industries, including film and television. And this is going to feature a little more prominently in our strategy and action plan for the next 5 years. Our fourth section is agriculture and rural economic development, the one that the Scugog Chamber is probably going to be most familiar with. Agriculture and Rural EcDev works closely with the Township of Scugog staff to deliver targeted economic development support, including BR&E, Business Retention and Expansion Support Programming. They support the Township of Scugog's Development Advisory Committee and committee's annual work plan, including conducting business visitations, assisting with Rural EcDev grants, and responding to business inquiries. The team also works closely with our agri-food sector, providing support to groups like Durham Farm Fresh, Durham Region Federation of Agriculture, Durham Farm Connections, and the team has delivered workshops on many topics such as succession planning, mental health in the ag sector, growing and marketing specialty crops, and helping local food businesses enhance their presence. And over the coming months, the team will be finalizing and implementing a new North Durham economic development plan. Broadband. So there have been a number of announcements at the federal and provincial level about broadband. There were announcements from the Universal Broadband Fund, UBF, with expansion to coverage coming to Scugog communities like Blackstock, Greenbank, Manchester. They should be delivered over the next few months. We're also aware Bell's doing some fiber to the home deployments in Port Perry. And the region has also been actively involved in deploying fiber to the township of Uxbridge. So we have determined that bringing better connectivity into our rural areas is a top priority for the region and for regional council. So we've chosen to get directly involved in achieving this objective. In fact, the region's current Pickering to Uxbridge fiber backbone project is the region's first venture into this space. We're building a backbone through some of the rural areas of Pickering and Uxbridge, and we'll be connecting to regional and the MUSH sector, so municipalities, universities, schools, and hospitals along the way. The backbone is also going to serve as a digital highway for connecting some of the rural communities along the way to private ISPs for services. Going back to marketing for a second, I just want to talk about Durham's history of innovation. Since 1864, when Robert McLaughlin started his journey to transform human mobility, businesses in Durham have committed to improve lives, not just for local residents, but the world. And here in Durham, we're not just innovating, we're innovating to solve big problems. We're building a robust, innovative ecosystem that translates research and development assets into jobs and investment. We've developed a timeline of innovation, which you can see on the screen here, to highlight the many ways businesses across the region have contributed to making Durham a leader in innovation. And in fact, pictured here is a great example of the types of stories we're featuring. This highlights Bill Lishman's historic flight leading geese in his ultralight aircraft. So you can check out the timeline or download a PDF on our website at investdurham.ca. I'm going to talk a little bit about the work that we've been doing in response to the impacts of COVID on our economy and on our businesses. The Durham Economic Task Force, which is comprised of ourselves with the area municipalities, the Chambers of Commerce, Boards of Trade, the BIAs, and our Small Business Advisory Center, we've set up a portal, which is a site that collects all the information available for businesses for funding, grant funding, digital services and programs, the latest updates from government, events and webinars, like a vaccine town hall that we just recently delivered on Monday. And there's a great recording of it if you're interested. Scugog Chamber has been a fantastic and active member all the way along. This task force has also been supporting local in a variety of ways. We've developed local food directories. We've developed PPE directories for those businesses looking to quickly ramp up and buy PPE. In fact, we wanted to do that because there were a number of businesses in Durham region that were making PPE. So we figured, while helping businesses to respond to the need for PPE, why not support local businesses at the same time? That was the rationale for that. And we also set up a local directory for companies supplying e-commerce services. And the links for those are all up on the screen. But the e-commerce services are obviously much, much more important now more than ever as people are transitioning to e-commerce at a very rapid rate. So helping our businesses to make that transition with them has been a top priority for the task force. This is one that Carrie Ann actually is going to be pretty familiar with. But we set up a Shop Durham Region marketplace, so shopdurhamregion.ca, with obviously the BIA leading the charge and funding from the region. But it's a free to local businesses to list and sell their products, and the site's growing all the time. Great promotional opportunity for local small retailers and producers, and it's easy to become a vendor and sell for free. We also launched an initiative to help throughout the pandemic people rediscover their downtowns from home safely, but also now that the economy is reopening, an excellent tool to help residents of Durham region rediscover their downtowns in person again. So downtownsofdurham.ca is just this fantastic listing of over 850 downtown businesses, which is meant to promote shopping local. So ensure if you are located in a downtown that your business is in here. We've had 50,000 page views since the start of the year this year of Downtowns of Durham, and people tend to stay on the site for quite a while, learning about all the great things available to them in their downtowns. And COVID-19 has, obviously represented an enormous challenge for all businesses in Durham region. And the Durham Economic Task Force is working together to provide the resources, tools, business support programs for businesses. And you can contact us anytime for help. If you have additional questions navigating the programs, please feel free to use this intake form. It's available at investdurham.ca/COVID response. And you can just click on contact us for more help. So thank you again for having us today. It's been my pleasure to take you through some of the latest and greatest updates at Invest Durham here at the region of Durham's Economic Development and Tourism Office. And happy to chat some more and answer some questions.
Great, Simon. Thank you very much. We do have a number of questions that did come in. First of all, your information was very, very welcome after a year and a half of not having a whole lot happening. So I think people in Scugog and in general are really looking forward to starting to get their businesses going. So the first question that came in, I noticed you mentioned investment attraction, but what specifically would your team be doing at Durham Region to help businesses to bring investment to Scugog and the surrounding area?
Bringing investment in. So really good question. I mean, this is a really top priority for our team, our business development and investment section, and for even the agriculture and rural economic development section. So we know that most new jobs come from already existing businesses. So this kind of goes back to this sales and marketing principle, which is, it's 10 times more costly to get a new customer. If you're a business, you're trying to sell a product, 10 times more effort to get a new customer than it is to retain an existing customer. And actually the same holds true for job creation. It's actually much easier to help your local businesses to grow and expand than attract new ones. But we are doing both because both are critical to a successful strategy to ensure long-term economic prosperity. But having said that, so obviously the research bears out that we know that most new jobs come from already existing businesses. And so for that reason, first and foremost, we're working closely with the Township of Scugog to develop a business visitation program. So this business visitation program connects directly with businesses. We can respond to both their short and long-term needs, helping them grow their business within Scugog. And we recently worked with the township to write what's known as a rural economic development grant application through the province that, if it's successful, would include a township-wide business visitation program. This program would be done in coordination with the Economic Development Advisory Committee and the Chamber of Commerce and the BIA. In addition to that, we often hear both from residents and businesses that broadband internet, I'm sure you're aware of the difficulties some of us are having now that we've all been working from home, or many of us have been working from home, but often been hearing, of course, that businesses that broadband internet is an imperative and a top priority for them. So the region recently hired a director of broadband services who's working closely with provincial, federal organizations to ensure every business and resident of Durham Region has access to broadband internet. We made many positive gains when it comes to advancing broadband infrastructure, and it's highlighted in some of the recent announcements of funding to extend services. So that's a couple of ways that we're engaged in Scugog in bringing investments and jobs.
Great, thank you. The broadband issue is very, very near and dear to my heart because where I live, it's in a valley. I have no line of sight. I have no cable on my road. I have a satellite dish that gets straight up to the sky. I won't tell you what the cost is, but the bandwidth on a good day is about 12 megabytes. So I have to turn my Nest Cam off if I wanted to watch Netflix. So I'd be very anxious in the name of the person. Is there you said there's a contact for broadband. Is that a name that we can publicize at this
Absolutely, point? Yeah. Our new director is Paul Frizzato. And with him is a broadband specialist, Riaz Razvi. And together they're leading the charge regionally because we know, like you said, we've got just a huge number of underserved, unserved communities for high-speed broadband. And it's an imperative for our economy. We have to have this. It's a fundamental enabler for our economic growth to have strong broadband infrastructure throughout the region. And that's why we're taking control of our own destiny.
Decide that developed because of that is we had someone on our street had their house up for sale and had a fantastic offer. When they found out that there was no opportunity for internet, the deal fell through, and consequently, they ended up selling for less money. So it is very important to people, obviously.
Definitely, yes. And for businesses too, along the way.
You mentioned about helping businesses and the grant that's available, that's coming available. I noticed that there's a lot of businesses in the north and probably in everywhere in Durham region about with trying to hire individuals. Staffing is a big issue. Do you have programs in place that help business owners recruit, possibly help them with the interview process, things like that, which in the heyday, it wasn't an issue. People would line up to get a job, but now that's not happening. Is there a place that they can turn?
Well, that's a really good question. And in fact, we're hearing from a number of sectors that there's difficulty in filling those high skilled jobs, the skilled trades, of course, but also engineering jobs, technology jobs. And one thing that we do quite a bit is work with our partners at the Chambers of Commerce and Boards of Trade to coordinate feeding that economic information, that information from the economy about what jobs are needed and what skills are needed back to the post-secondary institutions. Because not only are they educating the workforce of tomorrow, with new graduates from undergrad programs and college diploma programs, but they are also offering reskilling and micro-credential programs. So our existing workforce is incredibly talented, incredibly driven. They're the engine of our economy. And, sometimes and many times it moves at a fast pace. The economy shifts, the needs of the economy shifts in terms of various skill sets. So in working with the businesses and business community and in working with the post-secondaries, we've helped to not only shape those micro-credential programs and shape the types of reskilling training that exists for our population, but publicizing it as well, promoting it. And in fact, you can get a great resource on our website at investdurham.ca. If you look for reskilling programs, we've got some great information on there. So that's one of the ways that we help bridge that gap.
We'll certainly put your website on the screen so that people can contact you.
Oh, great.
So we've talked a little bit about retail, but what about the industrial sector? What recommendations do you have for growing the industrial sector in areas like Scugog, where we do have a fair bit of industry?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, advanced manufacturing is one of Durham's most fundamental foundational sectors, right? It employs a huge number of people in the region, very, very, good, talented, high-paying jobs. So the work we do, we do continue to work on in developing the Invest in Scugog site. So this is a great resource. It's called www.inscugog.ca. And this resource highlights some of the key investment opportunities in the township. So this is kind of an attraction effort that we're working on. It supports region-wide initiatives that we have currently underway to raise the profile of Durham region for investors, for developers in the GTHA, for realtors. And we've been working closely with all 8 local municipalities and the Durham ECDev partnership, which is the economic development teams for each of the townships and cities and towns, to organize a realtor developer event, which is coming up next week. The event's going to be held on October 28th. It's going to feature some of our key industrial properties that are available and ready for development in Scugog. And in fact, we have about, I think at last count, 187 tickets sold for that event. And these are the top realtors and developers from the GTHA. So we continue to tell the story about how great our investment readiness is, particularly in Scugog. And just a little more on that point too. Regional Council has indicated that increasing our supply of investment ready lands is a key priority. And so over the last couple of years, we have some work that's been underway to advance employment land servicing. Working with township staff, we prepared a proposal to extend, do some environmental studies for extension of sanitary sewer around the Port Perry employment lands. And the EA is going to be underway shortly for a pretty major piece of infrastructure there, a sanitary sewer pumping station. And this is an effort with a long-term view to ensure that Scugog remains competitive and investment ready.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. The the other side of the coin, of course, is tourism. And that's a big, big factor in Scugog. We have a beautiful lake. We have a fantastic community up here. The concern that people have is bringing tourism back, but doing it safely. It's great to open up the place and let everybody wander through and so forth, but the pandemic has not quite gone away yet. And are you and your department doing things to help tourism come back in a safe manner?
Yeah, Jonathan, we are. And in fact, I love personally spending time in Scugog as a local tourist, we'll call it. But, the reopening does have to be slow and cautious. All tourism areas, all municipalities that attract tourists are looking into this already. How can we open back up safely to residents from outside the region? We're looking to success in other areas right now where tourism has been opening slowly with precautions in place, like distancing, masking, et cetera. And, as you mentioned, fortunately, we have a lot of safe outdoor experiences in Durham region and Scugog particularly, right? We have conservation areas, lakefront experiences, kayaking, fishing, outdoor art projects to see, and lakeside parks, great for an outdoor meal, safe things to experience with your family. So these are going to continue to be important experiences and local tourism drivers. And as our domestic tourism expands and starts to reopen, we have to be ready because it is incredibly important for our recovery and for our economy. But we do have to be cautious and take precautions and do it correctly.
The last item on the list here of questions is economic recovery. And this is, of course, a big thing everywhere. I know Premier Ford announced today about jobs for people from different countries being able to fast track to get the same sort of positions here. What exactly is the region going to do to plan for economic recovery?
Yeah, I mean, we're expecting that in the next 6, 9, 12, 18 months, our economy is going to come roaring back. In fact, it already is starting to come roaring back. And we have ongoing collaboration with the Durham Economic Task Force. And I mentioned this includes ourselves, municipalities, chambers and boards, BIAs, in order to support business in a coordinated manner. We're promoting local businesses. We're promoting the importance of shopping local. And in fact, we'll be working and supporting our chambers and boards very soon going into the holiday season to run a major promotional campaign to that effect. We're continuing efforts to support local through our ECDEV and tourism programming ourselves. And we're currently working on a 5-year economic development strategy. I mentioned that in my presentation, but this will really lay the groundwork and plot the path to set important specific outcomes, such as ongoing business retention efforts, attraction efforts, cluster development, and of course, continuing to advance broadband. And I think together those things will help to enable that roaring back of our regional economy, and in fact, roaring back even better than it was before.
Thank you so much, Simon, for that very informative update on economic development and tourism. I'm sure the information is going to go a long way to help chamber members and businesses recover during these difficult times. On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Scugog Computers and Focus on Scugog Magazine. I'm Jonathan Van Bilsen. Thank you all for watching, and please stay safe.